I will move to Deputy Minister Dr. Gabrielyan on a question, conflict in particular, to ask her how does conflict, specifically border conflicts that many nations are going through currently, especially landlocked nations, impact climate and water security?
Thank you very much. First of all, let me just tell that speakers before me inspired me to think again about the importance of blue economy. Because last 15 years I was working as an economist in public finance sector, mostly focused on green economy. But starting from 2021, when we create in Ministry of Economy the public-private partnership and public investment management structures and system, and we can't focus on the importance of environmental goods and the SDGs. So the SDG 6 became some crucial and central point of economy, and as my colleague from Lebanon told, and I really enjoy his speech about cruciality of water diplomacy. He called us hydro diplomacy, but let me just tell that we talk also about water diplomacy and transborder collaboration. Both in Armenia, we have the same situation as Lebanon. First of all, I must just tell that Armenian hearts with Lebanon, and you know that Armenia and Lebanon has very strong roots. So we really focused on the situation in Lebanon. So just know that Armenia with you, and especially me. But talking about water diplomacy and UNEC convention, Professor mentioned about 3 points that I really enjoy, and thank you for that mentioning. But let me focus, first of all, not in conflict situation, because we used to have the same situation even in Armenian-Iranian transborder cooperation between Arax River, and we have the same situation between Armenia and Georgia under the Debed River. And these processes need always to be in contact with, in negotiating fast, because we can't just leave the environmental and mostly water issues for itself. It never will solve by itself. We know the situation for Lebanon and Iraq and Iran surrounding the Turkey, because Turkey is the highest point of water resources start, and we know about that Turkey is not a part of UNEC convention, and it is very difficult when you need to collaborate and negotiate with a country that doesn't accept these protocols and the convention. Yeah. So before that, let me just stress the economic part of blue economy, as our speech is under the blue economy. So when we talk about blue economy, and when we have the biggest UN conference in 2023 in New York General Assembly, I was very focused on fixing the economic and the political part of water, because under the political part, I mean also Armenian, Artsakh and Azerbaijani conflict, that after which we have about 20% loss of our water resources. You know that this is the biggest issue that we are talking about. And as it was mentioned that future wars and conflicts will be according and because of water. I think they are already because of water. So what we know about the economic part of water. I also agree about the investment. We have not enough investment. And when we talk about private-public partnership according water, we need to understand that water is a long-term investment. It is a long-term investment for private sector. So mostly water investment can be done by government, by public money. This is very important to understand for any government. Because when we talk about private investment and we calculate it, for example, dam creation, we need to understand that ERR, economic internal rate of return, will be according 3 or 5%. This is not interesting for business because business can get enough money for other infrastructure, yeah? And when we talk about, for example, fisheries and other type of water resource using, so we need to understand, is it the priority for government? We have now a big issue with fisheries because they are located in our most vulnerable part of Armenia and Ararat region bordering with Turkey, under which we have underground water, and we're using underground water for fisheries. This is something unbelievable that we are now doing, and government now forcing this economic and environmental issue, like business is telling us this is our business, we make some investment, we make these loans, etc., etc., so we need to maintain our business. But what government tells is who calculate the value of the water that we are using for fisheries and not as a water as usual, like drinking water, because this is not an irrigation water. This is the very high quality water that we are using now for fisheries. The second part of the economic understanding of water that we need these strategies be crucial for us, the secondary water use and the circular water use, and this is not the same. When we talk about secondary water use, we talk about that if we have irrigation, if we have fisheries, if we have dam, if we have tourism water use, etc. So we need to create this system of secondary water use of the same water. When we are talking about the same water, the circular water use that we are talking about, that the businesses need to treat their water to be able to circular use the same water. We have the mining centers that we now already have the circular water use. We have now trying to have fisheries. The other part that we are talking about conflicts and your question is very crucial for us, because when we talk about transborder water and effect after the war, we need to understand that we damaging all that ecosystem surrounding, because when we lose some water resources, we lose forests, we lose the whole agriculture near, and this is the big issue for government. So do I have time, or you want to give some question? Just want to clarify this.
Dr. Gabrielyan, actually, from the matters that you addressed between policy and businesses and funds, I would actually like to move to this question because it's directly relevant to ask you that since Armenia is a partner country to the European Union, what kind of positive policy changes you experience when it comes to climate and the environment due to this partnership?
Yeah, thank you very much for this important question. Yes, as you know, Armenia signed the SEPA agreement in 2017, and the biggest portion of SEPA agreement was environmental. So we have already changed the water code according to EU directives. This is the first phase of our changing, and this was a big and not easy reforms that we have done in 2021, 2022. The second portion of importance that we are now doing, the water strategy, that we want to understand, do we need to have separate water strategies for agriculture, for irrigation, for water use, for technical water use, etc. And coming to this table, we understood that this is very difficult to have one big strategy with some annexes, but the idea of we come here with SDG 2, food security, SDG 13, climate resilience. And according to the document that we have already adopted, the strategy for climate, under which we have accepted the water strategy under climate resilience, come to calculate the second document that we now have already published with ADB. This is fiscal risk assessment in climate resilience, because I always tell that, and people who knows me know that we can't anymore talk with big bosses with environmental language. We need to talk with financial and economic language. This is numbers language. So each dollar that we invest in the environment will return to us as a $3, but each not invested dollar will increase our need of investment in 2014 3 or 5 times. This is what shows fiscal risk assessment in climate resilience. So if we will not invest now in environmental, especially water and climate and forestry, so we will be forced to invest 3 or 5 times more in 2040, 2050, etc. So the core of the main understanding of the public investment and the investment ready projects is to understand which priority investment must need done for the first. And do we need to invest public money or private money? This is very difficult to understand if you are not focusing on tools, the tools that my colleague Dr. Told that we need to understand where is the tools. The second thing that is very important in economic and diplomacy and governmental things is to understand, do we understand the value of water? The economic value of water, not the environmental value, but the economic value of water. Because do we understand how we manage the water? For example, for Armenia, we are not enough management in this case, because it is about 7 billion cubic meter water that Armenia have for management, but we manage only 1.5 billion. This is numbers that getting us to some shock, because you have 7 billion cubic meter under your management, but you are managing only 1.5. The third thing that we are talking about, this is the hydropower and the renewable energy and the other possibility of using water as mirror, as water as resource, and water as a green investment in economy. So I think the macro level of understanding of water and blue economy, this is the understanding of whole picture, not Armenia or our region, or Lebanon and the region of Lebanon, or Italy and Mediterranean. This is the understanding of whole network of water. What do we have for today? This is mega blue economy. So mega blue economy must give us some tools as economic internal rate of return, but green one and blue one is the financial economic rate of return, but green and blue one. This is the net present value, investment ready project, portfolio for green projects. Because when we talk about EU and Armenia collaboration, we talk about SEPA agreement, but this must be invest understanding of that 40% of all investment that the European Union ready to do under the our region and EU for environment or EU for government, etc. This is green, but as well as we do not have any green strategy, green economy strategy, and blue economy strategy. This creates these circumstances that private sector continue to invest to brown economy. This is roads, this is some infrastructure, construction, etc., etc. And this creates every single dollar invest to brown economy now creates the biggest issue for the future. Like as I told, the calculations show us that we will be forced, government will be forced to invest 3 or 5 times more in 2040, 50, etc.
Dr. Gabrielyan, thank you so much. Very interesting aspects. Actually, I didn't expect this overview on investment, which I believe is very important. It should be conducted within controlled PPP. Thank you so much for your contribution.